Hello everyone, welcome back to the series of Introduction to Salesforce Commerce Cloud, and in today's video we'll be talking about content slots. Content slots, just like content assets, are mere the placeholders for any content that we see on the web pages. Well, both of them may sound similar, but there are still differences between assets and slots. Slots are dynamically created. That means we cannot create the slots directly in the business manager, and it has to be done via code. Slots can be scheduled, unlike your assets. So for instance, if you want any particular content on the website to be visible for a certain period of time, that can be done only with the help of slots. And slots may hold different type of content. Now, first thing, whenever we want to create any slot, that we need to do is, since we know that the slots can be generated via code only, so we need to include the is slot tag. For instance, if you go to the homepage.html file, you'll find different slots here. And for any slot, there are certain mandatory parameters that we need to pass as part of this is slot tag. First being the ID. So this is the ID with the help of which we'll be able to locate this slot in the business manager. Description tells us about what exactly the slot is for. Context is something which can take one of these three values. Global tells the system that okay, the slot will be available across all the pages on the website. Category tells about the slot will be available across pages wherever the category is accessible. So usually you'll see this kind of slots on the CLPs or PLPs. And the folder tells the system that this slot will be available across pages wherever the folder is available, like access to the folder is available. Context object is something which is needed only when you are setting context as either category or folder. And the context object will be, it can be a logical expression which will return you with the value of the category or the folder. Once we have done this, once we have included this slot tag in any of the template, we should be able to find this slot in the business manager with the help of ID that we have used. So if you go to the business manager under the merchant tools, content slots, we can simply search for it. Now, once you open it, you'll see that for the out of the box slots, we already have some slot configurations created. One thing that we need to know is that we can have multiple slot configurations created for any of the slots. So if you click on new, you'll see there's one more slot configuration created. Now under the slot configuration, you'll see certain parameters are mandatory, like the ID, which is, this ID is not directly used anywhere, but it's just for the reference. So let's go with the test slot. Enable flag, make sure that whatever slot configuration that you have created, it's enabled or not. Default tells the system, like, out of all the configurations that we have, which one you want to be default. Description is optional, just for our own understanding. Now the content type is important because here you can select different kind of values. So when we said that content slot may hold different kind of content, this is what we meant by that. So if you go with any of the options, so let's say if you go with the HTML, you can directly provide the markup here. If you go with the product, you can simply add all kind of product IDs. And similarly, if you go with the categories, you'll be able to add different categories here. If you go with the asset, you can add the asset IDs. The last one is the recommendations, and recommendation is something which is directly connected with the Einstein system. So in order to see the recommendations working, whenever you select the recommendation in the drop down, you'll see there's a recommender option, and this recommender is something which is coming directly from the Einstein portal. So there's C quotient portal where you configure the recommenders, and based on that you fetch the responses. So for this session, let's stick to one of these four, because recommenders is something which is not coming directly from the business manager. As soon as you select these different options, you get different options here, like it could be products, assets, categories, or the HTML, whatever you want to specify. One more thing which is mandatory is the template. Now template tells the system, okay, these are the configuration and this is the ID, and system knows from the code that where the slot needs to be present, but how it should be rendered. So that is something which is done with the help of these templates. Now one thing to note here is, since under the content type we have selected the content asset, when you click on the templates, you'll see slot content. So that means all the templates corresponding to the content asset type will be visible here. Now, as soon as I select product, and if I click on the templates, this path will change. So previously it was slots/content, now it's slots/product. And here you'll see the corresponding template for the product slot rendering. This template can be updated and it's coming directly from the code. So simply go to the cartridge templates. Under the slots folder, you'll see different kind of folders created like category, content, HTML, product. And you expand these, you'll see the list of all the slot templates that you're seeing. So for instance, if you go to the product type content, the template is homepage product slot.html, and that is coming exactly from your code here. So you can, at any time, you can customize the template in order to customize the way it is being rendered. Once you do it, once you provide all the values, let's go with the default setup that we have. So here I have ID, description, enabled or disabled, content asset. There's the ID of the asset, and there's the template which is being used, content asset body. And this is coming from the code. Once you do it, you have to just click on apply. And in order to this, for this slot to be visible on the storefront, you need to have a schedule as well. So when we said the slots can be scheduled, this is what we meant. In order to, for this to be visible, you can either add a default schedule. So since we already have a default schedule added here, that means this will be available based on whatever schedule you are mentioning here. So here you can specify for what time you would want this to be visible, or you can just keep it continuous. Now there are certain other qualifiers that you can provide here, like customer groups. So based on different customer groups that you have, you can select if you want this to be visible to selected group of customers. And ranking is something which tells the system about what is the priority of this particular slot. So it's possible that you have multiple slots configuration for this particular slot, and those have to be visible at different point of time, but it could be possible that some slot configurations are clashing. So based on the ranking, you can decide which one should be visible during that time. Now remember, lower the rank value, higher the priority. So for instance, if you have two different slot configurations with ranking 10 and 20, so 10 will be getting the precedence, and that will have a higher priority, and that will be visible on the storefront. Apart from a default schedule, we can also add some campaign schedules or the A/B test schedules here. About this campaign and the A/B test, we'll be talking about these schedules under the merchant tools, campaigns, and the A/B test in the next session. I hope this helped you guys understand the slots, and in the next video, we'll be talking about the campaigns. In case you guys have any questions or concerns, please reach out over sfcc.queries@gmail.com, or you can also post your comments on the video. Thank you.